Hi, and welcome to another episode of Upward Trajectory. Today, I'm so happy to be joined by Lisa White. She's an author, speaker, and coach. And we were talking a little while back, Lisa, and you had just told me your story about, how you just ended up in a place where you just weren't really happy. And I'd love for you to share that with the audience if you could.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for having me, Jennifer. It's great to be here. It's wonderful to be able to share some messages of joy these days because goodness knows
Absolutely.
we all need it. And,
We
you
do.
know, it's just such a crazy time. And I feel like my message is so important now more than ever. So, I wasn't unhappy per se. Been in marketing communications, event management for 20 plus years and loved it, loved the work itself. But it got to a point where I realized there was more to life than that. And what really fills my bucket is being able to help people, just whether it's in service or whether it's in just encouragement. And I realized that that's what I'm meant to do. And so I started to shift my focus and started my own consulting company and actually wrote a book about it that I just published called Bursting with Happiness, with the whole intention of reminding people that despite our struggles, and we all have them, despite our struggles, we can find joy in life, more joy than I think we thought we could.
Yeah, and
And that
amidst
in,
our struggles too, we can find it within, even no matter what we're
absolutely.
going through. Yeah, I love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the shift actually, as Oprah would say, the aha moment came for me when I was interacting with some friends and some colleagues, and they're like, Lisa, you just seem to have it all together. You're so positive, you're so upbeat. It's just amazing that you have such energy and no struggles.
Uh,
You've got it all figured out. And I'm thinking, really? You have no idea. In fact, I struggle with anxiety, fear, and obsessive compulsive disorder. I've had that since I was six. And it dawned on me that we're all walking around thinking that everybody's got everything figured out. And
mhm.
we don't. We absolutely don't. And what can I do? Well, I can tell my story to remind people that we're all just doing the best we can.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
love that. The perception is, and this is kind of perpetuated by social media and everything else that, we want to
totally.
display that we've got it all under control. We've got this perfect life. And even more so now, where we want
Oh,
to,
yes.
put that out there on our personas in these different areas of social media. And it's just perpetuated this fact that we have to be perfect. We have to have everything. We've got to have it all, do it all, be it all. And it's just such a facade, right? There's no
Yes.
possible way anybody can have and be and do all this stuff that we have this perception that everyone's doing. So it just
Exactly.
needs to come out that it's okay to feel like you're not happy, you're not fulfilled, you're falling apart in some areas.
Yes.
That's okay. It's
Yes.
normal. It's human. We need
Exactly.
to we need to come into balance, and that's really where we find the joy and the happiness, and when we feel like we've kind of got more of a balance in our lives. And I'd love for you to talk about how you were able to to do your 180 switch from the corporate world into doing your own thing and find fulfillment and happiness in helping others. I love that you found that. That's my thing too. I love to be of service and help
Yes.
others.
It's all about connecting with people. It's all about using our challenges and our struggles to remind others that we all have them and that they can succeed too. I actually created a model for it because I was like, how can I articulate what's going on in my gut with everybody else? And it's actually the CARE model. And CARE stands for, well, I'll just go through it. First of all, the C stands for change. It's a simple mindset tool to remind you to incorporate more joy into your life. I am just struggling this morning. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Allergies are crazy right now.
You can edit this out, right? So the C stands for what is it in your life that you have to change in order to have the joy to live the life you want to live. And for me, that change was my anxiety, my OCD, my issues that I have. What about that can I control? Can I improve? I am sorry, Jennifer. Hold on.
Oh, no worries.
I'm just going to be sounding terrible this whole thing. I don't
Oh
know what's going
no,
on.
take your water, do what you need to do. I can cook
Sorry.
that out.
Sorry. I just get excited and then I don't know why my voice is doing this. Okay. So how's that? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So the C stands for change. What is it about your life right now that you need to actually improve upon in order to live the life you want? And for me, that was my anxiety, my OCD. When I got pregnant with my son, it was just so much stress and so much anxiety about what could happen, the bad stuff, the dark stuff. And I realized I needed help because I was in the middle of the Jamba Juice line and my hands were bloody from washing them so much. And that's when I realized we had to do something. I had to get some help, and I did. And when I was able to get to that point, I was no longer terrified, but I wasn't fearless. That wasn't my objective. My objective was to fear less. And so when I was able to do that and get everything under control, I was able to say, okay, I'm in a place now where I can move forward. Now, the challenge then becomes having to ask the question regularly, is that still something that belongs in the change bucket, or am I now okay with it? Has it moved over to the A, which is accept? And the accept is the things about us that are not that great, that we wish we could change if we could, but they're not affecting our happiness, our joy. So for me, that's feeling like I can't cook. I'm a terrible cook. Maybe my fitness isn't where I want it to be. But for now, with everything else that's going on, it can stay in the accept bucket.
Yeah.
Now, my anxiety, unfortunately, went from accept to change when COVID happened, because I realized that I was struggling to the point where I wasn't living the life I needed to live. We don't know how long we're going to be going through this. What can I do to move it back to the accept? Because right now it's keeping me from living the joyful life I want. And so I reached out again for help. I said, look, I need some tools. I need some strategies to be able to function during this difficult time, but also for myself and my family, have a quality of life. I've gotten the help that I needed, and now that has moved back into the accept bucket, because right now I'm doing okay. It's not keeping me from living that joyful life. So anything that you put into that C bucket that needs to be changed or improved, make a plan. Come up with the resources that you need to figure it out. And then once something's in the accept bucket, it's all good. There's no stress. There's no guilt. There's no feelings of inferiority. It's all about accepting that aspect of who we are. And every once in a while, things are going to change, and that's okay. That's okay, because there's confidence and gratitude in the improvement that we have in those things that we change. So I'll tell you the truth. After 2.5 months of not leaving my house with COVID, I went to the Starbucks drive-thru and got a beverage. And I was so proud of myself that I was able to do that. So grateful that I had that win. And that motivated me to do more and do more. And now I can go to the grocery store. I can go to Target when I have to. I don't enjoy doing those things. I really don't, not now, but I can do them. So just mentally think about the change and the accept buckets and which one things belong in.
Yeah, and I love the A stands for accept, because there's so many things that we have to accept, and we just have to have faith that, things are going to be okay. And it's the fear goes along with control. And when we realize that we really don't have control over anything, we just have to accept, like you said, and just understand that things are predominantly going to be okay. Yeah,
Yes.
we're gonna get dealt things here and there, but for the most part, things are gonna be just fine.
Yes,
And that's where you
exactly.
live life, where you're in acceptance and you're in the present and you're doing what you need to do without fear and without a facade of control. And
Yes.
it's truly where joy comes in, when you can just be in the present, you can be grateful for everything that you've got, and you can live life.
Exactly.
So,
100%.
so what does the R
100%.
stand for?
The R stands for reassess. So my belief is that the more bursts of joy we can create into our life, the more bursts of joy and calm and happiness that we can incorporate, the happier lives we have. So R stands for reassess. What is it that brings you a burst of joy? So for me, it's, I'm a huge Friends fan, the TV show Friends. So when
That's a
I'm
great show.
anxious or feeling down, I'm going to pop in an episode of Friends because that's going to make me feel some joy. I'm a big Barry Manilow fan, always have been. Love the man, have seen him in concert over a dozen times. What I did was to double down on my Barry Manilow joy. For $10 a year, I joined the Barry Manilow fan club. Jen, I'm a fan-alow, and I love it because
That's awesome.
once a month, I'm going to get an email from Barry, and it's going to bring me such joy. I can get very cool Barry Manilow swag, all of the cool stuff that they sell with Barry Manilow's face on it. Even my Barry Manilow face mask, I have to show you.
That's wonderful.
It's the
Now,
little
you have to be a
burst of
fan,
joy.
I'm sure, to get one of those, right? It's an exclusive.
Maybe. But the point is, find ways to double down on whatever it is that brings you those bursts of joy. And the R stands for reassess. So you think you know what brings you joy. You think you know. Of course I know. I hate camping. I love wine, this and that. But the R stands for reassessing who you are now, because who you are now is different than who you were a year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. So think about it. When given an opportunity to try something new, don't just automatically say, no, I'm good. Skiing, not my thing. No, not interested. Consider the possibility that even though the last time you went skiing was 8 years ago and you hated it, you might like it now. I'm a football fan. Never in my life have I loved football. But about 10 years ago, I was at a party where a football game was happening in the corner. And I was like, well, that seems really interesting. And lo and behold, I gave it a shot. I love it. Right now, during football season, huge bursts of joy because it's something fun that I like. It's obviously not something that's, critical in life, but that's what the bursts of joy are all about. Those tiny little things we can add in that gives us those bursts. So the R reminds you to challenge who you think you are and what you think brings you joy, because you could be surprised pleasantly.
Yes. And the bursts, I love the term bursts of joy, because it's truly a burst of happiness that you bring into your life. And the more that you can bring in, the more that it outshadows and outweighs the negatives. And when you can outweigh the negatives with positives, you're winning in life for sure.
It all adds up. It all adds up.
And it adds up incrementally. Those little bits can add up to the point where you're just, bursting, so to speak, with joy and happiness. And that is ultimately what we want, everyone, what we want in life. Everybody you ask, they say, I just want to be happy. Well, this is how you do it.
And the challenge is sometimes we assume it has to be a big thing. When I get this, when I accomplish this, I'll be finally happy. No, not at all. First of all, this may not happen. So you're putting your eggs in a basket that may or may not take place. But why don't we take some joy in the process, or joy in life? Because that's what's going on right now. The gratitude.
And when you're delaying joy for the future that that may or may not ever come, you're just going through life waiting, and it may never arrive. So you've got to bring it into the present, into the now.
And we have to be intentional about it. You can't just say, oh, I enjoy crocheting or I enjoy running, and never do it. That does nothing. You actually have to embrace it. And that's where the E comes in. Embrace it. Put it into action. E, join the Barry Manilow fan club if you like Barry Manilow. Find a way to do more of what you love and more ways to go all in whenever you can. So if you're a runner and you know that running brings you that joy, that calm, that peace, double down. Say, I'm going to sign up for a 5K. I'm going to do it, because then you're going to be accountable. You're going to be forced to run, to train, to do what you need to do, because intellectually that's going to bring you joy. And life gets in the way, of the things that we want to do. And so often we don't do those things because we think that it's selfish to find that joy for ourselves. That's not the case. So E, embrace it. So C and A, care and change and accept. R and E, reassess and embrace. That's it. That, in my
Wonderful.
opinion, is the key to some joy, and accept who we are, and live a life filled with bursts of joy.
Yes, and double down, especially now in
Double
these
down.
COVID times. Triple down.
Whatever, you know
Find
what?
those things and get them in there.
Whatever it takes. If it's October and you want to put up your Christmas tree, by goodness, you put up that Christmas tree. I'm serious. Everything is all about whatever it is that can make you smile today.
Yes. Well, speaking of smile, you put a big smile on my face, and I'm sure many
Yay.
others out there are smiling right now too. So remind me the title of your book again.
Bursting with Happiness.
Bursting with
It can,
Happiness. And where can
it can,
people find that?
you can find it on Amazon. Lisa Dimino White, Dimino White. And yeah, I would love to have you check it out and let us know what you think. I can be reached on Instagram at Lisa Dimino White. And my website is thejoyseeker.com.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for being on. It's been great having you. I feel like everybody is probably now bursting with a little bit more happiness.
Good. I hope so. Thank you so much, Jen.
Thank you. And please join us again soon for another episode of Upward Trajectory. Take care.
You too.